Welcome, my dear 9th standard students, to your biology class. Children, we've already finished with the two basic chapters, that is cell, the fundamental unit of life, and tissues. So, in cell, we started that cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? And we studied the various types of cells, the various shapes and sizes of cells according to the function they have to perform. And many similar cells, a group of cells together, they form a tissue. And we've also studied about the various types of tissues. So the next level of organization is that many types of tissues together they form an organ. Many organs they form organ system, and organ systems are present in an organism. And around us we see a wide variety of the organisms. So in this chapter we'll be studying about this variety, or we say the diversity in the living organisms, that is maybe plants, animals, or the microorganisms, right? So biodiversity, on Earth we have almost 5 to 30 million species on Earth are there of the various living organisms. So mainly the hotspots for this biodiversity are the oceans and the tropical forests. And this wide variety is according to the various criteria, like there are mainly three things we consider. One is the varieties according to their sizes. Like we have the small microscopic organisms which can be only seen under a microscope, and we have the huge blue whale or a redwood tree in California which is almost 100 meters. Then we have the variety according to the color. We have like the colorless worms or the transparent worms, and we have beautiful colors of the birds and the insects and so on. And the third is the lifespan. Like pine trees, they can live up to thousands of years, and some insects can die only within a few days. So there is so much of variety according to all these three criteria, and we see, so it's very difficult to study all these organisms individually. So it's very important that we put them into groups or we classify them. So that is why there is a need of the classification, and in this chapter we'll be studying about the classification of these various organisms into the various groups and how we can study those characters. So what is the need of classification? Because it's difficult to study every organisms, right? And supposing we have 100 organisms, and it will be very difficult to study all 100 of them. So when we put them into a group according to some criteria, then if we study the characters of one organism, it will be easy to know about the whole group of organisms, right? So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy basically is a science of classification. So when we have the classification of these various life forms, the science which deals with that is said to be taxonomy. Then what is the basis or the criteria for the classification? For that we will take examples like you have at home, at your place you have so many things, like how do you put your things? You have the things which are needed in the washroom or bathrooms, so you put those things over there. Then there are the things which are needed in the kitchen, so those things are put over there. So you are classifying, you are dividing the things according to their need, and you are putting them into various places in your home. So there is a need for classification, otherwise it would be difficult to find such things. So they have to be at their proper places. So you've divided them, you've categorized them according to the need and where they have to be placed, right? So then that means, and these things are classified on the basis of their characters. So what is the first thing for which we categorize the things? That is the characteristics. So what is the character or criteria? These are the ones which are very broad. They are the organisms which are having the characters similar to each other, so they are put in one group, right? And the next step will be to make this subgroup. So many of the individuals will be having the same type of character, so that is a broader group. Then further subgroups will be made according to the next set of characters, that is to make the subgroups. So what is basically a characteristic? So characteristics is a particular form or a particular function of an organism. So that means we have 5 fingers, that is our characteristic. Then the next is the plants cannot move, they are non-motile, whereas animals can. So that is the characteristic of plants, that they have no locomotion, they are non-motile, whereas animals have. So that is the characteristic of the plants and the animals. So these are the criteria or the characteristics based on which we do the classification, right? Now, what is the common criteria for classification? So this is basically, we put it under 4 categories, right? Now, first one is, how do we divide the living organisms into the various characteristics, into the various groups? First is the nature of the cell. So we've already done that the cell can be either a prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell. So we've done in the previous chapter Prokaryotic cell is having a nucleoid, that is no proper nucleus with a nuclear membrane, whereas the eukaryotic cell have a nucleus with a nuclear membrane. So we will put the organisms into two categories. One which are prokaryotes or which have a nucleoid, and the others which have a nucleus. So first, the common criteria for classification would be the nature of the cell, that is prokaryotic or eukaryotic, right? Then next is the cellular composition. That means whether a cell is unicellular, like we have the amoeba, the paramecium, euglena. So there one cell only does all the functions. So okay, there is no body differentiation into various type of organs. Also, there is just one cell, and that is doing all the functions for the organism, right? We've already talked about the unicellular organisms in the previous chapter, and the others are the multicellular. So multicellular organisms that we've done, they are having many cells, and we've done in the first chapter that the cells are of various structures and various shapes and various sizes according to the function they have to be performing. So we have the next criteria for dividing organisms into groups is the cellular composition, that is unicellular organisms which are probably simpler, and multicellular are the complex organisms which have the division of labor. There are organs, organ systems, and so many, they're all having the division of labor and performing different functions. So that is the next criteria. Then next is, so these organisms, whether they can manufacture their own food, right, or they depend on others for food. And for that, the organisms which can manufacture their own food are only the green plants. The reason being that they have the green pigment chlorophyll in them. And we've done in the first chapter also that a special organelle is present only in the plants, and that is the plastids. So plastids with green color pigment are called as chloroplasts. So that is why the green pigment is said to be chlorophyll. So only that has the capability of trapping the sunlight and performing the function of photosynthesis. So that is why we call plants as the autotrophs. Okay. So plants are autotrophs. They can perform the function of photosynthesis, right? And animals, they depend on plants for their food. We call them as heterotrophs. So that is the next criteria for classification of the organisms. And next is the level of the organization. So children, like when we have the autotrophs, that is the plants. So plants also are simpler, like they have their body parts divided into stem, leaf, flower and fruit and so on, or they have their conducting tissues or not, and so on. So the level of the organization will further divide the subdivision of the autotrophs into various groups. Similarly, in the heterotrophs or the animals also, there are special organs, how much complex an organism is, and how many systems are there and so on. So complexity. So that level is some of the organisms are simpler, some are complex. So that level of organization will decide the further division of the animals or the heterotrophs into the subgroups. So this is mainly which is building up the hierarchy for the classification. That is how we are getting slowly the hierarchy, that how we are able to group the organisms into various categories depending upon this criteria, that is the nature of the cell, the cellular composition, whether they are autotrophs or heterotrophs, and what is the level of organization in autotrophs as well as in the heterotrophs, right? So, and it's very important that we classify these organisms, otherwise it will be very difficult to study them. Like you have your library. In your library, you have so many thousands of books. So if you want to read a particular book, it would be very difficult for you to go and find out where that book is. So what has the librarian done? She's classified the books, like she's done fiction and non-fiction. In fiction also, like there are mysteries, there are thrillers and so on. So accordingly, first all books are there. So broadly two categories, fiction, non-fiction. Then further subdivisions are there depending upon what the theme is. So it is easy to locate a book. You just go to that particular cupboard and you can locate your book. And similarly, a grocer shop, when you go to a grocer to buy something like maybe soap or maybe oil and all that, and you see inside he's put all these things in proper places so that it's easy for him to locate. So similarly, it would be difficult to study all the organisms individually. That is why the scientists have grouped them or classified them into various groups, and this is how the various groups have been made. Then, children, today's organisms, they are actually a result of the changes over the millions of years which have occurred over them. So we call this the changes or the formation of the new characteristics or appearance of the new characteristics over a long period of time into the animals, this is said to be evolution. Okay, so the present organisms or the species of organisms are a result of the evolution over a long period of time. So classification and evolution, they are very much related to each other, right? Now, these different characters in organisms, they are a result of the evolutionary process, because so many changes keep on coming in the environment. As a result, the animals has variation. So the ones which are able to bring variations in their characteristics or in their body organization, and they're able to adapt, and they are able to survive. So the ones which will be unable to bring any changes over the time, so they become extinct. Like we don't see the dinosaurs anymore because probably they could not adjust to the new climatic conditions that time, so they've become extinct. Whereas the organisms which could adjust, which could bring about changes, which could bring about variations in their characteristics over a period of time, that is millions of years, are the ones which we see today. So that is why we say that, and evolution is a very slow process, right? Now the new characters which have been formed are very slow, and it's a continuous process. So the organisms which are still simple today, like they are not having very much of complexity, means there was hardly any evolution in them. So previously also many years back, millions of years, they were the same, and now also no changes much have come in them. So they are, we say, simpler organisms, and we also call them as primitive organisms. Okay, whereas the ones which are complex are the ones because of more evolution, then more changes occurred in them, more variations came, more characteristics were there. So they are, and usually we call them as the advanced organisms, because, or we can say the recent ones, and the ones which had hardly any change in them, they are called as the primitive organisms. Because what happens is that the complexity increases with the time. So evolution and classification are very closely related to each other. And children, you know Charles Darwin, he first gave this, like he wrote in his book, The Origin of Species, that he talked about the evolutionary process, that origin of species, and that is the book. So he's the one who said that the classification and evolution, they are closely related to each other. So we have scientist Carlos Linnaeus, who is said to be the father of taxonomy. So he is the one who's told us how and in what way the vast variety of the organisms, that is plants and animals, can be categorized, and how we can broadly divide them so that we can easily study them. That we'll be studying in the next video.